Recognize the small windows of opportunity as they enter into your purview and seize them.
Hmm.
And get involved if you want, if you're into getting involved. Um,
Hmm.
get involved in a real politics. Become a leader of your community of some kind. Be an example to the people around you, to your family, your friends, and your community, while repping some kind of identification with communism. Uh, steer, just seize windows of opportunity, small windows of opportunity in your everyday life. Don't
Hmm.
drop your normal life. Don't drop your friends. Don't drop your family. Don't do these crazy kinds of things. Just small, bit by bit changes at the personal level, I think. This is where I think ideological, cultural, and so on changes are happening. I think they happen small, bit by bit. Not saying fundamentally join my cult in my farm and leave your whole life behind. And definitely I'm not saying start arguing with the people around you and antagonize all the people around you who disagree with you. It's very important that communists learn to be human, learn to
Right.
be normal human beings, and reconcile that with their convictions and their beliefs. And reconcile means recognize this as a unity of opposites at the personal level. On the one
Hmm.
hand, we have great ideals, lofty ideals and beliefs, and on the other hand, we have fundamental commitments as human beings to honor our family and our communities, and so on and so on.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, so there must be a sense of there must be a sense of relief, not relief. There must be a sense of calm of some kind that comes from this reconciliation. I'm not a guy like the Austin Red Guards who says, "Let's go and do it." That's not my approach at
Do
all.
it
I think
tomorrow, you know?
that's why I love the movie The Wandering Earth, because I think it teaches people to just accept that they have to deal with life on a day-to-day basis. You're not going to bypass it. Life must be dealt with on a day-to-day basis. The sun will rise in the morning tomorrow and set at dusk, and
Hmm.
there isn't going to be some sudden change that's going to just make our lives better. We have to keep chugging along, and hopefully communism is a great source of mental and spiritual focus, relief, and peace in people's lives
Hmm.
that then allows them to be delivered to the concrete political class struggle as it manifests
Hmm.
itself in the manifold of our daily experience. Um, that way, when we're confronted with a decision of some kind, and we are all confronted with these small decisions, you can choose the
Hmm.
correct path. And these things add up to me. These things add up.
For
I
sure.
think the site of where things. So there's different, many of my viewers are not going to be able to drop what they're doing, quit their jobs, and dedicate their lives to politics. They're just not.
I mean,
Politics
also,
is a
like,
profession in and of itself. Building a new
right.
party is a profession in and of itself. A party is almost a corporation. We have to feed ourselves. We have to eat. We,
Hmm.
Infrared, are just a media apparatus. We're not a party or organization of any kind. So, what I mean to say by this is that I think I would tell different people different things. If you will have already committed your life to politics, to being a professional, what they would say a professional revolutionary, and you've managed to carve an existence on that basis, I would tell you something very different than what I would tell someone who's working to support themselves on a day-to-day basis and
Hmm.
doesn't have time to dedicate so much time and energy to politics. You know, people who have to work minimum 8 hours a day, full time.
Hmm.
There's only so much time you have for leisure. There's only so much time you have for cultivating yourself as a human being, and that shouldn't be neglected. There's no shame in cultivating yourself as a human being, because I promise you, the people who are fanatically devoting everything to Austin Red Guard's direct action are on a road to nowhere. On a
I
road to
guess.
nowhere. This romantic dedication of one's life to a complete liquidation and complete immediate revolution of some kind, it's a road to nowhere. It's a road to nowhere.
I guess my question is like, how will we know? Because it's one thing to be like, oh, okay, obviously I shouldn't dedicate my life to like the Austin like Red Guards to putting, dead pig heads outside of people's houses. But it's quite another to, see a working class movement kind of begin to like emerge and then have to think to yourself, I guess my question is there such a thing as saying this is it? Or do you just have to put your faith every time and kind of be like, hey, the workers are trying something. I'm going to support them in trying that, because that's kind of where I've arrived at, is that like not a blind faith in the workers, but a belief that if they're advocating for some interest of theirs, that even if I, as like a middle class software engineer, PMC shithead, can't understand it or think, oh, it's like reactionary, that like, well, no, okay, the workers are trying to, survive. You need to be able to take their viewpoint first. Is that the correct way to go about things? Like am I just blindly following them then, or is that like the right? I guess I'm just asking what you think about that.
I think there needs to be a sense of solemnity, in the realization that the working class, the people, are not just the people you encounter in your everyday life, but also the strangers in your life, the people who you've seen once and you'll never see again, and the people who you will never even meet and you'll never see. There has to be a sense of relief that they will never be familiar to you. When you can think of the working class in this way, you can think of people as they're getting by day after day, struggling to support their families and themselves. You can have the necessary discipline, patience, that I consider the correct in the Marxist sense, the proletarian wisdom and attitude. I don't think the proletarian attitude is a constant disruption and
I mean, they want to live and grill, right? That's kind of a joke, but it's like sincere. Like they want to live their life and not be troubled with these things,
Paparino, I think sac completes isn't necessary, but it can have utility. No, don't get it twisted. I agree, but those people are what you would call professional revolutionaries, and those people are always going to be a small minority of people. That's what I mean, is that professional revolutionaries must have a sense of patience in the realization that most people are not going to spend their whole lives for communism. After all, communism is almost a kind of abstract negation, at least in the beginning. The real thing isn't about realizing an ideal goal. Ultimately, life must go on if we're human beings. It must go on. We must have families in some way. I'm not saying there's an eternal family form, but we must reproduce as human beings. We must support ourselves. We must deal with the trials and tribulations that come with life itself, not just capitalism, not just oppression, but life itself. There's something there. Dealing with the elements of nature is a trial and tribulation that humanity has always had to deal with, for example.